Hello, 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 Macha. How you doing?
I'm doing very well. How has your week been? It's been
Uh,
it's been more than a week since we got
yeah, I got in touch. I
we
think it's
spoke.
been a couple of weeks. I think it's heating up kind of in Europe. I don't know if you know now, like a lot of countries like putting down travel restrictions. I went to Paris last week, and I don't know what what was COVID. To be honest, there was no mask. Only on plane, Finnair asked for it. But in
Hmm?
the country, nobody was asking. In the big trade show, nobody was asking. So I feel like I want to travel more now. To be honest, it's becoming easier again. Yeah. How has it been for you?
Yeah, it's been the same. Well, in Nigeria, people never give a damn about masks, anyways.
Really?
I guess, yeah, maybe the first maybe couple of weeks when I came here. So Feb until like mid Feb, everybody were taking masks seriously, but after then, it was just a thing in the past.
Wow.
Obviously in aircrafts and all that, then you need to sort of have the masks, but other than that, I think airports is the only place that I'm using a mask right now.
Yeah, yeah. I think those are the people. I think if there is any travel that is safe, if somebody wanted to be safe, it's air travel. I
Yeah, yeah,
completely.
for sure, for
But I
sure.
don't know if you, and I don't know if you do this, but then like have you noticed like flight tickets have gone up like 10-20% up, like on an average. I don't know if
Yeah,
you,
yeah, I think
yeah,
I think they're all trying to make up for all the money they've lost in the over the last 2 years, so
yeah, it is so true.
and I don't think they still have the usual volume
Oh yeah,
of travelers, so there are still going to be people who are skeptical to travel and whatnot, at least the leisure travel. So there are still going to be people who are skeptical to travel right now, I guess.
yeah. That is so true. I think the one more thing that I've noticed that now like Russian travel space is closed, so I was booking tickets to India, and I was like, okay, it now takes me 1.5 hour extra to reach Delhi because the Finnair
Ah,
has to
so
now
it's 9 hours
take,
now.
yeah, close to 9 hours. If you remember, like it used to be
But then
easy.
you can't fly over Ukraine as well.
No, so I think it has to take a detour properly. I don't know what is the kind of the travel route now is, but yeah, it's
So when are you going to India?
the plan is to, let's say, be there in somewhere in June or July. I'm trying to go to cold places like up north, close to Ladakh. I've been exploring places there. Um, yeah, and there it is. Surprisingly, it's about 10 degrees. I was like, okay, this is a bit cold. So then, yeah, but that is where I'm thinking like, okay, if I want to go with parents and then also with the wife, I think it would be like a bit safer option to think about in a way that nobody gets sunburns and nobody feels temperature frustrated, which is for us a bit common, but I don't think so it would be, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
wise decision. But yeah, I think otherwise,
Nice.
yeah, I think I would definitely want to know more about your travel expedites because I saw the pictures. I was like, okay, there's something really, exploratory happening. And I was like, okay, really need to ask. So just tell me your first hand experience because you have been traveling to Europe, within Europe as well. And now, like, you are there. What's the few things that kind of stand out for you?
Well, traveling in Europe is actually super easy, right? Like you, at least for us, since we have a residence permit, we don't need a visa.
Mm,
There is flight connectivity. There is flight connectivity everywhere. There are multiple options to travel from one place to the other,
yeah.
and everything is pretty punctual.
Yeah.
Like flight takes off at the right time, you might be within like 10-15 minute delay, but
Yeah.
it's not going to be crazy that they say that, hey, we'll take off at 10, and then nothing happens until like 12:30. So I think traveling in Europe is like super easy, and I just think that it's because it's mature, right? Because people have been traveling for quite a while, and the whole industry is very mature. Whereas in Africa, it's very novice still. The whole thing is like super young. The whole industry is young. There's not a lot of connectivity because there's only like a very small percentage of Africans who actually want to travel around. So
Yeah, I think maybe just a quick question on that, like because as you say, it's a niche, so it must be a relatively expensive, because for them it's less people to serve to, and in turn, basically, I don't know if like they are running on full capacity even, so they have to charge maybe a bit.
surprisingly, all the flights have been at full capacity.
Oh,
So I think obviously the industry is going to sort of automatically customize itself based on demand and supply, right? So all the flights have been on has been like 90% full, 90-95% full.
wow. I think that's
Uh,
almost European capacity full, to be honest. Yeah, yeah. I think
yeah.
yeah,
So I don't think it's a matter of capacity, but it's just how airline works as a service, you
yeah,
know.
yeah.
First of all, the connectivity is not great, which is like super. It's such a shame that. But the point is, it's because it's this niche. It's like less than 5% of the population, or maybe 10% of the population, who wants to travel around within like intracontinental travel. You all obviously you have Africa connecting Middle East, Africa connecting Europe, and all
Yeah,
that.
yeah, yeah.
But then, like, if you want to go from like Nigeria to Kenya or Nigeria to South Africa or
Basically
South
within the
Africa to
continent,
Kenya,
would you say, kind of?
yeah,
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
not great. It's not great. So there are
yeah.
many flights. If you, for example, if you want to fly from Angola to Nigeria, you have to go all the way to Portugal and then fly back.
Wow.
There's no other way. There's just no other way.
Yeah,
So you
that's
need to go to Portugal, wait there for like 2-3 hours, take the next flight, and then come to
come
Nigeria.
back. You're
So
basically entering Europe to get to jump between.
exactly. So
Wow.
that's the kind of yeah. Well, at least the big countries. I have a direct flight to Morocco, Egypt, South Africa, and Kenya, and I
Okay.
think also to Ethiopia.
Ethiopia, yeah.
Um,
Wow.
Again, South Africa, there's a direct flight to Joburg, but if you want to go to Cape Town, then you need to go to Addis Ababa in Ethiopia and then go to Cape Town.
Okay. But I think it's still like, even if there is like a connecting flight available, like with not too much, like layover, then you'll be like, okay, that is,
But Africa is massive, man. The continent is massive.
yeah,
It's
the
like
size is huge.
the size is huge. So if it is not a direct flight, then your connecting flight is going to take you like 4 or 5 hours more.
Wow.
It's
Yeah.
not like in Europe. Like we always tend to think everything in terms of Europe, where everything is
Yeah.
like close together and everything is like well
Surprisingly,
made.
Europe is not that big of a landmass. If you think of it.
Exactly. Europe is not
It's
big.
not that
Europe
big.
is not big.
Yeah.
I think Africa is. I think African. To just give you a perspective of the size,
Yeah.
African can fit around 10 to 12 Indias inside.
Wow. It is that huge?
It's that huge. You don't see it on the globe.
Yeah, man.
Nigeria is like 3 times the size of Germany. When you see it on the globe or the map, you don't
Yeah.
see it because of
No.
this whole
Yeah,
2D
yeah, yeah.
distortion.
Yeah. Oh, that's so true. Trying to draw it on
So
2D.
yeah, when you see Germany and when you see Nigeria, they are like equal size. But when you actually calculate, if you actually take the landmass, like I think India is around 3 million square kilometers, Africa is 30 million square kilometers or 32 million square kilometers.
But let's say, just coming to the topic, let's say if you are not able to get a like a direct flight, what other means would be there, like to go to
Well,
somewhere?
within West Africa, since most of my travel so far has been within West Africa, right? So I've been to Ghana, Benin Republic, and then within Nigeria so far. To going to Ghana, you have a direct flight, but to Benin Republic, I just took a cab. I just took a car, and I went to Benin. So yeah, if there are no flights, then you just take a
Yeah. But then, like, that comes down to like how's the road infrastructure and like how fast you're able to drive around.
road infrastructure is not great. I'm not going to lie, but it's not as bad as I expected it to be.
That is
So
expectation wise. Okay, so I set it low,
yeah,
then it's actually better. Yeah.
so it's not too bad. At least yeah, like Nigeria, I guess the road infrastructure. There are few roads that are good and that are well maintained, but other countries, at least all the key roads, like for example in India we have the Golden Quadrilateral,
Yeah, yeah,
and of
like
course at least in southern India the road infrastructure is much better than what you find in northern India, right? I
yeah,
think
yeah,
maybe northern India is also improving right now,
yeah.
but historically speaking, over the last 10, 15 years, based on my travel experience, at least in India, I've always felt that until Hyderabad and all that, you always had this great road infrastructure, and then you start moving, then it starts becoming poorer and
I
poorer.
think now, to my experience, it has become much better in northern India as well. But let's say, yeah, I would still not prefer to travel by road because still it takes so much time, and it's yeah, I don't know. Also, like if there is a good scenery around to see, but it's also hot weather, so you're like, okay, I just want to get to the destination. So I don't know, like, okay, just going from the traveling point of view, what would you say? Definitely, if you get a flight and then you reach there, how's the accommodation side of things are? Like, are there hotels or B&Bs or what?
Yeah, there are hotels and Airbnbs and all that. At least in all the sort of major cities, you have hotels, and even in the even in the sort of tier two cities, so to speak, because the only big city in most of the countries is the capital city, right? And then
Yeah,
you have like a couple
yeah.
of other tier two cities. So road infrastructure is very country dependent, I would say. Nigeria is not great, but Benin, I was pleasantly surprised. The road infrastructure was great.
Wow.
Um, um, and again, you have few good hotels. You always have like good hotels,
That's
and there
great.
is a range that you can choose from. There is a good price range that you can choose from, and Airbnb is also very popular in Benin Republic. So yeah, so
That's
all those
pretty
things
good.
work.
Yeah, and
And
I think
we have Uber and Bolt, and we have like Jumia to get your food. So it,
yeah, so
like
that infrastructure
things
is in
work, but
place. Yeah,
yeah, like things work, but it is not as seamless as the experience you would have in Europe, because
yeah,
like things are,
definitely.
yeah, things are maturing here, whereas Europe is a very mature
Yeah, I think, like,
service economy.
just to kind of go from, like, like traveling from tourism point of view. So if you're traveling that way, let's say now you are able to reach to the destination, found a good place to be. Now let's say usually, I was just looking into a package. You know how you get like this a 5-day package or a 10-day package where you're like, okay, if I go here, I can just take a car and there are like 5-10 places to visit. How is that type of, because we have like Make My Trip in India and all that. So how is it that now, let's say, in this type of context where the continent is so big and they want to attract some tourism, and like, is there some way where you go one place and then can hop onto few places and like create a very good visiting experience, let's say?
Well, there are these private tourist providers, right? There are like few of these guys who provide these sort of private tourist travels. But for example, if you want to go on safari and all, that's best to choose just them. If you want to go to Kenya, Tanzania, Botswana, any of these safaris, then it's better to choose one of these safari providers.
So
But
once you
if you
say
want to go,
safari, you mean like the jungle, like they take you like on
yeah, yeah,
a
the
on a
wildlife
jeep?
safari,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Okay. Wildlife safari. Yeah.
So, but if you want to go exploring your country by yourself, I think there are very few countries where you can actually rent a herds or something like that by yourself and drive around, because it's not super. It's like it's as messy as in India, or if not more messy, the traffic. So
Oh
it's
yeah.
it's a real pain to drive around. In Finland I always used to jump to the opportunity to drive, but here I have like refrained myself from driving. So
Yeah, it feels like, I think, because these are populous countries, we don't realize that, like, and then people not only are dependent on four-wheelers, but there are a lot of people with two-wheelers, and then there is just everybody is
it's
in
the
a
same as
rush.
India, which is why
Yeah.
I always felt that you are at home in Africa. It's
Yeah.
very similar to India.
Yeah, but that's so nice. Let's say, and now if we go back to the idea of like, okay, I'm getting to a safari. How long usually these safaris are, like, is it a day? You start in the morning or something?
you have like different packages. So there are like I don't know, in Kenya there are like maybe 2 3 thousand safari providers. It's like
Wow,
over the
that's
last
big
20
business.
years, it's yeah, yeah, yeah. Over
Okay,
the
so
last
tourism
20
is
years,
pretty
it's
good then. It seems like it brings a lot
yeah,
of.
yeah. Kenya and Tanzania, South Africa, tourism is like huge. So
Wow.
especially the safaris are like huge. They have really sort of grown over the last 20 25 years. So
Oh,
and
that's
they
pretty interesting.
and they're all priced also. You have them also in pretty good price ranges. You can do like a very basic things to like a very sort of as though you're royalty. They'll treat
Wow.
you as though you're royalty. You can find these sort of super amazing places, like amazing cottages and whatnot right in the forest. So
Man, that means
uh,
like there's like a very good infrastructure that is supporting the local economy. So who are the travelers in this type of thing? Like I don't know if you see.
Europeans and Americans.
Okay, mostly the
None of the
non-African.
I think that's the sad part as well, because Africans cannot afford these prices.
Oh yeah, that's okay. It's built
Uh,
around that. Yeah.
they also charge in dollars. They don't charge in your local currency. So they all these tourists or all these safaris, at least so far the things I've seen, they are either they charge in euros or they charge in dollars.
Wow. But like, how do you pay that? So definitely you're swiping a card there. Is it so?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. But that is very, very unique to me. Like, let's say in Nigeria, what is the local currency?
Naira.
Naira. And and you wouldn't be able to pay for any of the
No, no,
safaris.
no. In Nigeria, there are no safaris, especially in
Okay.
Nigeria, because the forest
Wow.
infrastructure is not great.
Wow.
The
Good to know.
forests are not great, and you don't have the wild animals and stuff like that. But it's because they cater to the crowd who can pay in that currency.
Yeah, yeah,
That's
yeah.
that's your 95% of your crowd.
Definitely.
Like
Yeah, yeah.
95% are basically expats, foreigners who just come there.
Yeah. Yeah, but I think that that is so fascinating to me. And like even in India, I know in bunch of places where it's my favorite example that I give to so many people. I was visiting temple in Madurai, and there is that VIP queue. You can skip the queue instead of standing for hours, and the price there was in dollars, also listed. I was like, okay, but yeah, and you feel like okay, this is just cutting the line, but that is how also they are kind of creating some revenue, to support that infrastructure. In this
Yeah.
place, this is definitely the way, and yeah, it's pretty. But I think now
And
let's.
most of this and the like most of the safaris and all that, the owners are also Europeans, Lebanese.
Wow,
That you have your Portuguese, French, and English.
like people
What
who
do you
have
call
built
it?
this.
Yeah. So you have all that in the background. So it's not like the local Africans are running these things. And West Africa, the whole sort of entertainment and restaurant industry is owned by Lebanese. Whole
Wow.
of West Africa. It's not only in Nigeria. You go to Benin, it's the same thing. If you go to Cote d'Ivoire, it's the same thing. If you go to Senegal, it's the same thing. Ghana is the same thing. Like
Wow.
the Lebanese have taken over. Like Indians usually take over like grocery and stuff like that.
So true.
Textile, grocery, and all that.
Yeah. Okay, Lebanese food people,
Lebanese have taken, like they
restaurant.
have all sorts of cuisines. It's
Wow.
not just Lebanese, but they
Okay.
have all sorts of, like the hotel industry, the restaurant industry, and entertainment industry, nightclubs, and all that. It's just
Oh,
owned by
okay, yeah. So yeah, that is what you mean by
is
entertainment, like the
yeah, yeah,
nightclubs
yeah.
and yeah,
Yeah,
bars
yeah,
and
yeah.
all that. Wow.
Bars and nightclubs and restaurants. These three things. It's just like 95% Lebanese across West Africa.
Oh, yeah. That is
I
once
don't know
again a
how that
bit.
happened.
Yeah, very
It's a
surprising fact.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, 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 for sure, for sure.
I think it also kind of then draws me towards to ask like, okay, once you go to these places to visit, like what type of cuisine that you are getting entertained with? Like, are you going for like some local cuisine to taste out and what is it's something that you can share that has been like interesting food experience?
So I think they like. I don't know whether it's I don't, at least for me it was surprising. The restaurant scene in Lagos is better than the restaurant scene in Helsinki, for example.
Wow.
So you have more options.
Oh,
You
definitely. I
have
think.
you have more options, and you have like better quality restaurants. Where, like, if you compare the price to
Quality or quantity?
quality of food, and well, service level is not great. It's
Hmm.
better in like Benin and Ghana and all that. Nigeria restaurant service levels are not great, but the price to just quality of food and the whole experience ratio is like much better.
Wow.
What you'll be paying for a meal which is like 50-60 euros in Helsinki, you can get the same level of good food and like uh, with wine and whatnot for like 20-25 dollars here.
Wow.
And the options are also pretty good.
Can you dig into one of the options that you're like, okay, this is something I visited here, and this was like a good food that I found there that like people like, okay, should definitely dig into.
Man, one thing super interesting in West Africa is they do fried plantains.
Fried plantain.
Plantains. So it's
Plantain.
another form of banana. Have you seen the Netranga chips, the yellow chips in
Yes.
Kerala,
Yes, Maja.
fried in coconut oil, right?
Definitely. Yes.
So that what they do here is that they make it into like cubes and they just deep fry it in oil.
Oh,
And
instead
then,
of
like,
like slices, it's cubes.
French fries,
Uh huh.
people are eating plantain fries. It's
Wow.
delicious. It's absolutely delicious.
Man, I'm surprised that's not more famous.
It's like I'm like, what are we doing in India? Why do we like fucking make it into chips? Like,
Yeah. You
it's
know,
absolutely delicious.
but
Fried
so
plantains,
if
man.
I'm understanding correctly, so it's a cube of bananas that are deep fried. Inside of it
It's
is
not
it's
bananas, it's plantains.
plantains. So what is the? It's a plantain is also a type of banana you said, isn't it?
Yeah. Plantain is a different type of banana, but
Yeah.
it's not banana. They
Okay.
come from the same, I
Root.
would
Yeah.
say,
Yeah.
root, but
Yeah.
they are not banana.
Yeah, that is so unique, man. Now I feel like I want to taste it because like coming staying in Kerala, I've like gotten really used to seeing how they would make the banana chips. Like it just and it was so tasty, fresh. I don't know if it is the same style.
Oh, it's
Yeah,
it's like fresh. Yeah.
yeah,
They'll have the raw plantain next, and you'll ask
ready.
them to make it. They'll just fry it and give it to you.
Phew.
So
Definitely very healthy.
it's well, even the plantain chips we have in India is also not healthy because
No,
that's also deep fried, right?
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Uh, yeah, but it's one of the things that I have never expected. Like, I was like, what? And the thing is, the amount of similarity we have in spices and the similar food in Africa and India is like too good.
Wow.
The amount of similarity in spices, well, here they use like different set of spices, but general spice levels, the variety in spices that you have, for example, we also have plantain in Kerala. Here they have plantain. So we have a lot of fruits here. There's a lot of fruits. So
But yeah, I think that is already very good, to be honest, to see like, okay, this is now I would definitely go and like seek out this one thing if I'm planning to visit, and
yeah,
see.
yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. And the second thing it was like really amazing is jollof rice. Jollof rice is this red. It's like a tomato. It's like basically like a tomato rice in Indian context.
Yes.
It's not a tomato rice,
Yeah.
but it's more spicy. It's more flavored. It's like
Jola
a
rice.
four jollof,
Jollof.
Jollof,
Okay. Jollof.
and there is this big rivalry between Nigeria and Ghana, like who has the best jollof rice.
Wow.
I personally like the Nigerian jollof rice better, but
Does it have
yeah,
more
my
chili?
friends
Macha?
in
Does it have?
I think it's more flavorful in my opinion.
Ah.
Like the jollof
Okay.
rice in Nigeria is more flavorful. Uh,
Wow.
yeah, jollof rice and plantain fries. Jollof rice and plantain fries.
So it's basically so
You
jollof rice
are
is
going
like
very close to God wherever He is. You are going very close to Him if you eat that. It's
you
amazing. It's
combine these
amazing.
two, yeah. Man,
Yeah.
that is so nice. But I think just to kind of also dive into like a bit more, and this is something just coming from your pictures. I know the nature is insanely beautiful and like still so raw. But then while you're traveling around there, and then you have this and this is maybe just unusual, anybody coming from Europe or India even, to have somebody as a as a security personnel around you, to that extent. So I don't know, like, does that temper the experience, or how does it affect you?
Well, so when I'm in Ghana, when I was in Benin Republic, like when I'm in Lagos, you don't need this elaborate security, right?
Okay.
It's pretty safe. It's only because the most recent one I was in Kano. Kano is like it's like northern Nigeria, where historically there has been like Boko Haram
Oh yes, yes, yes.
insurgency and whatnot. So so you just, and there are like bandits and stuff like that. So that is why, and we were going as a group, and out of the group of eight there were like five foreigners. So like it's like a typical target,
Yeah.
you will just, people can, if somebody wants trouble, they'll just see you, like, okay, here's a group that can be easily targeted. So
Wow.
we were always going around with people, with security who had like proper guns. And first yeah, because I landed, and then we went and took our bus, and there were these two guys with their AKs sitting in the bus.
Wow. Okay.
So I was like, oh my God, like it felt it felt very different. It felt very weird to just have like two security guards next to you. But then in
Definitely.
no time you just get used to it, because then you start talking to them, you realize that these are like normal guys who are just doing their job.
Definitely.
And
Yeah.
it's just like good to, because like it's good to have them, because it's like good to, so they also act as like crowd control. Also act as like mobilizing traffic. They also act as like security. So they do all these different things. So it's good to sort of have that.
Yeah, but I really like what you said, that there is that they are very, like, they are not just being very upright and all that. They are still like humanizing. So your experience is not tempered. They are talking to you. They are normalizing it. They are just making sure, and they
Absolutely.
also kind of assuring you like, hey, there's nothing to be worried about. It's just as a precautionary measure, and we are here also like so just it's just
Yeah,
normal.
yeah.
Yeah,
And
because
I think we also had this elaborate security because the group leader of our group, he was the deputy ambassador of Italy in Nigeria.
wow,
So
definitely.
he was the one who was organizing it. And then we then got in touch with the High Commissioner of the UK and all these guys. So they are like really like high profile people. So
Okay.
the High Commissioner of the UK had her own security. We had our own security. But I think even if we didn't have the High Commissioner and stuff, we would have still had the security that we had, just because like we are an easy target group. When you're a group of like 10 and five of you are like foreigners, and if people can see it,
Yeah.
uh, because
Then
we had Germans, Chinese, Indians,
yeah.
like, yeah, we had people from all around the place, so
Yeah.
Americans. So
That is so unique, I think. But anyway, I think diplomats usually like have, especially in the region, they definitely carry their security around. And I think, yeah, it's yeah, I think it's definitely always, when you are in doubt, I think go for slightly safer option than regretting later. So I think it's a good idea. I don't know, did it added too much to the cost or what, or was it kind of
they
part
were
of the?
super cheap, man. They were super cheap. I think we paid them like $20 a day.
Wow, man, that I would pay for it.
We paid $20 a day.
Yeah, it reminds me of the
And they were
days.
like fully loaded and stuff, because after like the first day, once I got to know them well, I went and asked them, hey, are these like
It's
just
really
guns like what we have in India, where most of the time it's not loaded?
yeah,
Are these like actual things? Then that guy removed his what is it called?
yeah. The magazine of the
Yeah,
yeah,
magazine. Yeah,
yeah,
yeah. He
yeah.
removed the magazine and he showed me, and I saw like actual freaking this big bullets there. So I
Oh
was like,
man, yeah.
wow.
this just throws me like one nostalgia story is like I used to be like a security guard for a milk factory in back in Bhopal while doing engineering, and I had also the the fake gun to say, and but yeah, I think but you for some reason you put that gun on, you feel like, oh yeah, you can really defend.
You really had a gun, like a hunter's gun, huh?
Yeah, man, it just doesn't do anything, I'm telling you. But you feel like you can really, beat off people. For some reason, it gives you that psychological thinking. Yeah, I have a weapon that actually, can destroy whosoever comes to me. So you feel, I don't know, for some reason, I think it's more psychology than actually it does anything. I would have shit my pants like, if somebody showed up, but back then I was just yeah,
Yeah.
it's pretty
So,
fun. Oh
so
man.
they weren't they didn't sort of affect your experience in any shape or form.
But I think, man, that's actually better than it kind of it makes you feel safe, and then they are making it
Christina
also
actually
feel safe.
immediately called me once I sent the photo on the group. I immediately got a call from Christina. I'm yet to talk to her. I think she was like super concerned.
I
But
think, yeah,
but you just get it's. I would rather have these two guys with me than
yeah,
you know.
yeah. Worry about things, but then okay, like
Exactly.
maybe just kind of to change the topic from here, because I think they are great. They're definitely better. Please take it. But then, like, once you go to these places, because like how once again, this is a Paris experience. You go any place, there are like bunch of souvenir shop. Well, there's some lot of pickpocketing and all that stuff as well. And like once you are there, do you see anything like, oh, I should get this as a memorabilia?
Of course, those things are there, but like just to give a little bit of context. So Kano is this city in it's the largest city in northern Nigeria. It has about 4 to 5 million people. So
Okay.
so it's pretty big, and historically it has been one of the key center points in the trans-Saharan trade, because this is the biggest city after the Sahara. So this was like one of the key points between sub-Sahara and countries that were above Sahara, like Morocco, Egypt, and all these things. So so it had a lot of historic value, and it was basically like South Delhi, for example. It was like an ancient city
Mm-hmm.
which was dirty and which is not super well kept and all that, but it had its rich flavor of like culture and architecture and art and whatnot. So
It really
um,
lot of history to the place. Yeah.
yeah, a lot of history to the place. And in my experience, whenever you have a lot of history, and you could see that, and especially like Kano has like the old town and the new town, like any other
Big, yeah. Yeah, historic
historic
place.
city.
Yeah.
So when you go to the old town, these streets are like super narrow, like the usual stuff. Like
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
whenever you go to old town, they are all super dirty, super narrow,
Yeah.
and
Completely unplanned, just happened on its own.
completely unplanned. Exactly, exactly. But back then they didn't have any cars and stuff like 500, 600
Also,
years ago.
yeah.
You didn't need like big
Really
roads.
need,
Like
yeah.
why would you unnecessarily give space? But and there weren't as many people as we have now, right? Uh, like South Delhi, for example, when it was built, it was not the parameters have completely changed. Now we can't go back and say that South Delhi is not fit. Like we like you have completely changed all the parameters in which the city was built on,
Built,
and
yeah,
then you
yeah,
can't
yeah.
compare.
Yeah.
You can't compare it. So it's the
I think
same
it was
thing here.
just like a city built on the Yamuna River's bank, like, okay, because there is water and all, and like a small
Yeah,
people, they
exactly.
started to build it. But then I think, as you say, like now the context of it is like, I think there are like, in that area itself, the population is, I think, 1000x, or I don't know, 100,000x
Exactly,
to what it
right?
was built
Yeah.
for. Yeah. So
Yeah.
definitely not
So
suited.
obviously it's going to be more claustrophobic. It's not going to be neat. But yeah, I was a little I was just sad by and poverty really hits you, once
Oh,
you
yeah.
move. like you see some really really poor people. Uh, yeah.
Yeah,
So
I think that reminds me. I don't know if you have seen Swadesh. There is like a scene where I think Shah Rukh Khan is in the train going back, and then there's
hmm,
this dude running to him, like a small kid running to him, with selling a glass of water.
exactly,
Yeah, it really hits you. Like, oh my god, it's yeah.
absolutely,
But it's
absolutely.
definitely. But let's say this is maybe just going from there. It's like how's the architecture of it? Like how old architecture to new architecture did it look? Because I think that you can see between old and new cities very clearly that okay, this architecture
Yeah,
was yeah.
I think the architecture was like, I think it's like what, maybe 500 years old. The architecture that was presented in Kano, yeah, I think it's like a good mixture of like Arabic and like the local. It
Wow.
was, I think it's like Arabic architecture, which has been sort of customized for the local
Local.
tribal groups here. So maybe at least the structures all that we saw were like 500, 600 years old. But the architecture was not as sophisticated as you would see in India, you know.
Wow.
Like, let it be the temples, let it be the palaces. Like, it's gigantic. It's like those guys who are living the life, you know. Like, even the palaces that you see in Europe, they are nothing compared to the palaces we have in India. You know, they are
Oh yeah, that is
like the ones we
it's
have in India is like they are
yeah.
huge, like,
Yeah.
and they are a piece of art, you know. Like,
Yeah,
there is
yeah.
like
Yeah.
so much of art and like
I think
so
yeah, anybody hearing this is basically just go to Palace in Jaipur. I think it's huge and stuff like that. Just to put a context to
yeah,
that.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Go to the palace in Jaipur. Go to the Tipu Sultan's palace
Oh
in
yeah.
Mysore.
Yeah. Oh.
Go to the all the amazing temples we have, like the Tanjore temple or the Madurai temple. You
Oh
know,
yeah.
like
The
just the
scale
scale
is just
and it's
yeah.
like it just blows your mind, you know. So and they are all like 2000 years old, 1500 years old, 3000 years old.
Yeah.
So
It's
these things were
yeah. But I think also if it is become as you said, like this place was more of a kind of a trade route and also one of those type of cities, maybe also attacked a lot and like not things are changing a bit too often to be owned by
yeah, yeah,
some
yeah,
single
yeah, yeah,
entity
yeah,
for a
for
while.
sure,
Yeah,
for sure, for
it
sure.
could be
So
also.
there are these sort of elements, obviously, but personally I expected more of architecture, you know. That was
Yeah.
I was able to quickly say, okay, this is it,
Oh yeah. Yeah, that is
you
actually
know.
yeah. I completely agree with you. I think yeah that gets to because I think if you've traveled Europe or even in India, I think you expect a bit more out of it, and that is where if
Yeah,
it
yeah.
falls short, then you're like okay yeah yeah.
And one of the, because I'm not into like a religious thing, because this was a religious festival, right? It was the darbar, it was the Eid darbar that we went to
Oh,
witness. It
okay.
was so here, like in the Middle East where you have emirates, even in northern Nigeria you have emirates. So you have
Wow.
an emir, who's like right now he's like just the religious and spiritual leader, but back then he was also the leader of the people and whatnot. So and right now it's just a mess. It's like the governor assigns who the emir is, and the emirs are usually from two families, and like now they hold no value whatsoever.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
which is
Now it's
why,
just like a title thing. I think
yeah,
it's more like
like
yeah,
if you're a businessman, you have like couple of hundred millions in the bank, and then you become the emir. I'm like, what the hell? What the hell?
yeah, yeah,
So there's not a lot of value and significance attached to it. But back in the days, at least like couple of hundred years ago, and all that. Um they had like proper roles to play in society, and they were like religious leaders and all that. But anyways, the whole darbar, the whole festival was a spectacle, for
oh,
sure.
yeah.
It
Okay, I
was
think
nothing like I witnessed before. They were like, the whole city was outside, the whole city
wow.
was on the roads, and they were all witnessing. I've never seen so many people in my life. Like few, like it's few tens of thousands of people for sure. Wherever I looked, it was just people. Like,
And
It
so
was.
just to kind of put a context to it, so was it like, like you go to let's say mosque to do the Eid, and then after that you break your fast or something like that, or then there is a feast after that. So that's how I
So this
remember
this is
Eids
this
being
is
in
the next
India.
day after the fast is broken.
Okay.
So your Ramadan is over. So I think they have these very Arabic names. I do not know the names, but it's the next day
Yeah,
after
yeah, yeah.
your 29 or 30 days of Ramadan is completed. So this is the next day of celebration, and this was even a smaller scale of celebration. The very next day is where it was like the sacrificial day, where they go all. Luckily, I was not there to witness that because, like,
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah, yeah. Yeah.
it was. But the previous day was the actual celebration, and then yeah, it was definitely there were like I don't know hundreds of horses and like one amazing thing was so we were out in the street by 7 o'clock in the morning, so we wanted to witness this whole thing. Um, so the emir comes out of his palace
Okay.
and he walks to the mosque, and then from the mosque then he has a horse carriage that brings him back to his palace. So this is the routine, and this lasts for like 3 hours, and by 7:38 everybody is on the road,
In the
like
evening, you mean,
walking.
or in the morning?
No, morning.
Morning. Okay.
Walking towards this whole courtyard where all these events are happening and all that. And around 8 o'clock, 8:30, the whole city was outside and they wanted to pray. And people just stood on the roads. Basically, all roads were blocked.
Yeah.
The key roads around the courtyard and the palace and the mosque, everything was blocked. And people just went on their, like you could see the whole crowd like kneeling down and doing their prayers. It was like
Wow.
amazing. It was like wow.
Man, this reminds me of the festival that we have in Kerala. Where the women's they actually make food on the road, and it's like complete city is blocked. I'm just blanking out on the name of the festival,
It's not
where
Onam.
I don't think so. It's Onam. It's there is a festival in which women are cooking. Like all of they take this pot, and then there is like a full setup that they do, and the whole and it's from, if I say like Trivandrum Central to like way out, there is nobody's going out that time, and only
I
if
think
you're
it's Onam.
it's Onam, eh? Oh, I think
Yeah,
maybe
yeah,
then it's on the Onam. But yeah, I think it reminds me of that. And then they would space out quite well, but then they'll fill up the whole
yeah, yeah,
thing.
yeah.
And I've only seen like news reporters videos of that, because you can't actually walk outside because on the road
Hmm.
people are there.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It
Yeah.
was it was very similar to that,
Wow.
and yeah,
Huge
yeah.
crowd. Man, that is so nice that you get to see that. It's I'm pretty sure the Emir would have waved at you. Um,
Well,
no, but I think when you said Emir, I was like, yeah, I got also an Emir in my. Yeah, it's pretty fun. But I think this is pretty good. Anybody who's listening to this would be like really, I think, getting so much out of it, like in the context of if they are have been in India or are from Europe, planning to visit Africa. I think there is so many nuggets in this discussion that came out. I think,
absolutely,
yeah,
absolutely.
yeah.
And the regional dynamics is also pretty varied within Africa. Like East Africa is very different from West, and North and South are like
Yeah,
just like you
this
have in
is
India, right?
yeah, it's
So
it's it's so unique. Like if I think of Africa, because I know there's a South African cricket team, and that's the only place I knew before coming to Europe. It's so I feel like so dumb back then. I still don't know too much now because you're in Nigeria. I get to know and see through your eyes. I had a friend from Cameroon, but that's it. Like that's my extent of knowledge of Africa. So I think if it could be the best thing if you tell like if there is a like a website where you would usually jump onto if you want to book your travel. I don't know. Is there something like that?
I think since the tourism industry is also not very mature, you have like very scattered information across. There is not like one place where you can find all the information. So
So no make my
well,
trip at the moment.
we no make my trip at the moment. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, yeah. I think that is then the opportunity waiting to happen at the moment. It seems
yeah.
like somebody
Yeah.
just does that, like how do you say, aggregation of all the information in one place, kind of a single click booking
Well,
for.
you have TripAdvisor and stuff like that, but
Oh, there
it's
is
not like a
TripAdvisor.
single click and then you do the everything. And then
Yeah,
yeah, it's not as seamless as you would expect it to be.
but I think that TripAdvisor is definitely quite good. Then I think people share their experiences as well about certain
Yeah, yeah,
trip
yeah,
that they, yeah.
yeah, yeah.
That's pretty good. Yeah. But yeah, I think Macha, this has been like a wonderful conversation. I really enjoyed it, learned a lot. I think for this friendly chat, I think we are on the time today.
Perfect.
I really enjoyed it. I don't even know when the time has passed, to be honest. It's
Yeah,
like,
it's an interesting place for sure.
yeah, definitely. But let's meet then again, hopefully next weekend or the weekend next to it. But yeah, let's try to keep chatting. Okay, Macha.
Sure thing, man.
Yeah.
Alrighty, take care. Bye
Take
bye.
care. Bye bye. I'll cut it off now.